Good afternoon, everyone. We're going to get started. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Georgina Arias. I'm with UCSF's Transportation Department. I'm the Transportation Demand Manager, and I'm here to assist you all with your commuting. Thank you for joining us for safety tips for public transit riders. I am joined today with Jason Heil of UCSF PD. Please use the chat to put in questions as we move along, and we will address those at the end of our conversation. There are many public transit options available throughout the Bay Area. Approximately half of our UCSF community live in San Francisco with access to Muni or BART. 17% live in Alameda County with access to AC Transit or BART, and 13% live in San Mateo County with access to Samtrans, Caltrain, and once again, BART. The annual commute survey shows us that those who take public transit, it's normally Muni and BART that are the most popular service providers. I'd like to share some safety stats with you today. Muni has a monthly average of 2.2 crimes per 100,000 miles. Muni has a B- grade for feelings of safety. And there are 3.5 crimes against people on BART per million trips. While public transit operators are prioritizing safety, crime continues to occur, and we want you to be aware. I would be remiss to ignore the recent shootings. And it's on everyone's mind that when they move throughout their community or they travel to and from work, that this is on their mind and they need to be aware and learn some new habits to keep them as safe as possible. So whether you ride public transit for personal or commuting purposes, we'd like to share with you a few tips for you to be as safe as you can while moving about. As you walk to and from your transit stop, while you wait for transit, or while riding, we suggest these 3 tips. Always be aware of your surroundings. Keep your eyes up and scanning your surroundings, exits and doors, and paying attention to the people around you. Secure valuables in a closed purse, backpack, or front pocket. If your purse can be worn across the body, that is the safest way so that no one can just walk by you and grab it off your shoulder easily. Backpacks, very similar. Wear them with both straps put over your shoulders so that someone can't run past you and just grab it. Secure your loose, valuable items in your pockets and in your bag. Limit electronic distractions by putting away your cell phone and not using earbuds so that you can hear what's going on around you. Travel in groups when possible, and avoid poorly lit or deserted areas at night. We're not always walking around with a group of people, but when possible, walk in areas with more people and car traffic. Practice these simple habits can easily be added to your daily routine. Today, we're specifically talking about safety while using public transit. When waiting for transit, stand in areas with more light or stand in the center of the platform closer where more people are coming and going. The vehicle operator is seated in the front of the vehicle. It's a great place to sit if you're traveling alone or if you're uncomfortable with behaviors of other passengers. If something makes you feel uncomfortable, move to another train or car or sit closer to the operator. If you're sitting near doors, be aware of your valuables like cell phones and purses, because that's an easy spot for someone to grab something and run as the doors are opening and closing. Many public transit operators have cameras in their stations and onboard their vehicles. Interior and exterior cameras are a deterrent for bad behavior. They can be used to follow up on incidents and for training operators. Many public transit operators also have sworn officers and ambassadors on site to answer questions, intervene before situations become out of hand, and to ensure a safe environment for riders. At UCSF, you'll see them either in a blue coat or in their bright yellow vests. Feel free to talk to them if you have any questions or concerns. Many are also familiar with UCSF's police department staff, and I would like to introduce Jason Heil of UCSF PD to tell us more about his role and how to encourage on-campus and off-campus safety. And I'll stop sharing my slide deck.
Thank you, Georgina. I'll go ahead and share my screen as well. Just give me one moment. Hi, everyone. My name is Jason Heil. I am the Clear Coordinator, the Crime Analyst and Crime Prevention Specialist at UCSF Police Department. So within the department, I wear a few different hats, but specific to the crime prevention portion of my job with UCSF PD, I go out and I meet with faculty, staff, and student groups and other community groups associated with UCSF and talk about issues about safety and security on and off campus. So today, I'll be piggybacking off a lot of what Georgina just spoke about in terms of public transit safety, and then just general safety issues about people coming to and from campus. Again, so we're going to talk about some health and safety, health and security resources available to you all. I'll discuss a little bit about crime trends we're seeing around campus and in areas around UCSF as it relates to sort of transportation issues, and talk a little bit about crime prevention strategies and techniques that you can use to hopefully prevent yourself from becoming the victim of a crime. First, just as a reminder, this is the contact information for UCSF PD. Always encourage everyone to have that information in your cell phones. Always great to have some sort of in case of emergency numbers. Certainly our numbers are helpful wherever you live. Having the local jurisdiction number for the police department nearest your home is also helpful. So please go ahead. This 1414 is the non-emergency number. The 6911, the emergency number, both ring into our Emergency Communications Center for UCSF PD located at 654 Minnesota Street. Again, those numbers ring in there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Specifically, that emergency number, it ends with 911. It's 911 for a reason. The same way you would dial 911, just to get to your local PD for any on-campus health, safety, emergencies, police, fire, whatever happens to be any emergency on campus, please go ahead and dial that number. You'll also find our information on the back of the information cards that you get from WeID when you get your UCSF ID badge. And then finally, just a reminder, pretty much everything I'm going to say in the next 5 to 10 minutes, almost all of that information can be found on the police department website at police.ucsf.edu. So if you're anything that I say that you kind of think about later, can't quite remember, all that information is going to be found most likely on our website. Another reminder, another way to get information in terms of our emergency contact numbers, the UCSF mobile app, there's a whole section on just emergency numbers at UCSF. So if you don't have that numbers pre-programmed in your cell phone, you can go in, get that emergency contact by use of the UCSF mobile app. One more way to get that information is the UCSF Safe app. This is something we launched a few years ago. Again, it has emergency contacts. You can get crime alerts through there, has our emergency procedures, has evacuation routes, crime mapping. So a whole bunch of information on that. So if you need another app on your cell phone from UCSF, you can add that one to the list if you so like. Just a little reminder on police services and what we do and do not provide to the UCSF community. Again, we are available 24 hours a day to sites in San Francisco, Benioff Children's Hospital over in Oakland, providing crime prevention, suppression, victim support assistance, providing infrastructure protection. We have a whole emergency preparedness and emergency management division and traffic safety for UCSF as well. Specific to our security services division, our security guards are providing hourly patrols, a visible security presence around campus. They're monitoring many of our security cameras and giving assistance to our emergency calls. For this call and for this meeting, what I want to emphasize is the availability of our safety escorts. So these are available to our parking garages, to our lots, to bus stops, areas that are immediately adjacent from campus at all of our main campus locations. So over Parnassus, Mission Bay, Mount Zion, Laurel Heights, MCB, and a lot of our other sort of satellite locations. Again, you can call into our main dispatch center, use that non-emergency number, and those escorts can be provided to you by one of our officers. Only two caveats I give to that is we can't take you across town, but we can give you a escort that might go from, somewhere on campus to, let's say, the reasonable distance. You might, let's say, park a car off campus and then walk. So it's available in that respect. Again, my only other ask for that, if you do feel that you want to use it, again, it's available to you 24/7, is help us out by planning ahead a little bit. We have officers all over, and as many of you know, I'm sure all of you know, UCSF is very decentralized. We have campuses all over the place, plus our sort of satellite locations. It's a lot of ground for officers to cover. So if you do think you want to make use of the escort service, just go ahead and give us a little bit of a head start. So if you could maybe call us in and say, hey, I need this in about 20 minutes, 25 minutes, give us a little heads up. So that way we're not scrambling too much to get an officer from point A to point B. Now I'll talk a little bit more about crimes and crime trends. So especially if you are new to a specific office at UCSF, I know a lot of people, especially in the last few years, are moving. People were at Parnassus, now they're at Mission Bay, or they're going some other place, or maybe you're just moving to a different part of the city. You're using transportation the way you had before. We have crime maps both for our own UCSF PD statistics, as well as crime maps are available for what SFPD is doing on the instance they record every day. You can either write down these URLs, but the easiest thing to do is just go to the police department website, police.ucsf.edu, and there's links to these crime maps right on the homepage. Next thing, crime trends. Nothing too specific that we're seeing in terms of our public transit users, but just in terms of transit in general, I know some people do a mix of, some people drive every day, some people take Muni or BART some days, drive other days. Certainly a lot of people will bike, to BART, take BART into the city and then bike, onto campus. So there's a lot of different modalities that people are using. In terms of auto burglaries, because it's been an issue at UCSF and really in San Francisco, probably for the last year and a half, going on 2 years, really since the pandemic started. We're seeing it more in the last year than we've seen it in previous years. UCSF has certainly, we've noticed it and we've done our best to address it. We've increased patrols of our garages and our parking lots, especially at Mission Bay, where we were seeing most activity. We were seeing a lot of it last summer. You probably saw a bunch of safety bulletins we put out last year, then 1 or 2, since that time. We feel like we're doing a good job in addressing that situation. The numbers have definitely gone down in the last 6 months versus the 6 months prior. But certainly it's something that we will continue to see, because auto burglary is just a fact of life. Living in San Francisco and at UCSF, we are not immune from that. So just a reminder to people who are driving onto campus, whether you're using our lots, whether you're parking on the street or using a garage, just remember to take that few seconds to take out anything of valuable, anything that might attract a would-be thief. Really want to leave your car spotless when you're parking every day. So we are seeing that, but we are seeing reduced numbers into 2022, which is a good thing. Bike theft is something that we've seen for years at UCSF. Unfortunately, it happens with frequency, mostly not in our cage locations. We've done some great work in the last few years to really beef up security at our cages, and we think we've done a great job. If anyone works at Parnassus, you'll see a brand new cage at the Millbury Union. But we do see it where people use bike racks throughout campuses, most specifically at Mission Bay, where it does happen, where we have reports of people parking at the outdoor, sort of open and accessible outdoor racks. Go ahead and use them. You can do that, but I think the best way to secure your bicycle, if you're coming on and off campus and you're using it for transportation, especially for people who are using e-bikes, and those e-bikes, they're great to have. They increase mobility, but they, we don't want you to lose that bike. So those can be expensive. So go ahead and make sure that you've registered your bike with parking and transportation, and they can give you access to our garages, and you can reduce the chance that bike is going to get stolen. Again, use those secure bike cages, contact parking and transportation, and otherwise really make sure to use the biggest lock that you can. And also, if you're going to use a rack location, get that extra cable that secures from the lock to your wheels. We've seen a fair amount of instances where someone's going to take a quick opportunity and snatch a wheel. It's unfortunate, but it definitely does happen. Given that, let's talk a little bit in the few minutes I have left on crime prevention, steps you can take to prevent being a victim of a crime, and how to improve your security and safety on campus and off, of course, in the context of transportation and coming to and from campus every day. Just as a reminder, before I get into that, when you are on campus, please help out our security staffs, our police officers. Please make sure to display and have your ID out at all times. Whether it's a lanyard, however you carry it, just so our officers can have a better sense of who isn't a UCSF affiliate, and they can better identify who needs to be on campus. Again, those escort services are available to you. And most importantly, please report any suspicious circumstances to UCSF PD as needed. Whatever it happens to be, we rely on our affiliates, our faculty, our staff, our students to be our eyes and ears again, as I said earlier, it's a lot of ground for our officers to cover. So to the extent to which we get good tips from people about individuals who are behaving in ways that suggest that they are possibly trying to commit a crime, we really want to know about that. This next slide is really for people thinking that UCSF is really a 24-hour a day, 24/7 community. People are coming and going at all hours, especially on the med center side. People have shifts that start and end at all times during the day, and that sometimes coming and going early in the morning, late at night. You might have instances where you might feel unsafe. If you see someone acting suspicious or engaging with you in a way that doesn't make you feel comfortable, please go ahead and give us a call, either police directly or your at least the security desk in your building, if that happens to be, if you happen to be in a building with a security desk. Again, you might see someone, and we do, unfortunately, at UCSF, the crimes that we deal with all the time from the PD are those crimes of opportunity where someone is looking to take advantage. So again, it's one of those things where someone accidentally leaves their cell phone on a table in a cafe on campus, and they come back 5 minutes later when they realize that, oh, I forgot my cell phone, and it's gone. So if you see someone acting in any behavior of note, you can ask them, hi, can I help you figure out what they're doing there? But you're not required to. Simply give us a call and we can check out the area and figure out what's going on. But specific to off-campus and transportation, which is why we're here today, be careful about using your cell phones or your laptops while you're waiting on public transportation. It happens less so now that cell phone security is a little tougher and it's a little bit harder to break into an average cell phone. But we still see instances, at least not so much at UCSF, but in other parts of town where you're at the end of the day, you're tired, maybe you have your earbuds in, and it's easy to look down at your phone and kind of tune out the day, try to just zone out. But it's easy for someone to bump you on your right shoulder, you look to your right, and then someone it's come over on your left side, grab your cell phone, and then they're out the back of the minibus before you even know what happens. So again, be aware of your surroundings, limit headphone, earbud use to the extent that you can. Always traveling in groups is preferable, but regardless, you definitely want to stay alert. Avoid poorly lit or deserted areas at night if you can. And if you think you're in a situation where you're coming to and from campus, you're on and off public transportation, you feel like you're being followed, find an open business or any place that has a number of people in it. Simply, going into a convenience store and saying, hey, someone's following me, can I stay here for a while? No one's going to object to that. If no one else is around, you really want to do your best to draw attention to yourself, which could be making noise, something that's going to get the attention of other people around you that something's going on. And ultimately, if you are threatened in any way, if someone does attempt to take your valuables or your property, remember that your property is just that. It is things, and your first priority is always your personal safety. Because ultimately, if someone makes a threat or acts in a way that feels threatening, you don't know what they might do if they're going to carry that out in any way, what they might do next. So always err on the side of caution. But if you do feel threatened or something doesn't feel right, again, that someone's following you, you really want to act immediately to change that situation in any way you can. You want to be aware, trust your instincts. You want to be assertive, that's with your body and your voice, that's making a scene. And that sounds sort of odd, but the extent to which you can attract attention of others who might be able to assist you. Certainly, the use of pocket whistles, safety alarms, whatever you have, that you can pull. I know people in the city who walk around, always having some sort of safety whistle or one of those sound grenades that you can get at the Walgreens. Good thing to think about in case something does happen. I wanted to make sure I left a little time at the end. So I know I rushed through a bunch of things, trying to get a bunch of different ideas in your head. But as you sort of think about anything that I've said, or Georgina, know that there's a lot more information on our police department website about safety and security on campus. And certainly you can always reach out to Georgina or myself with any questions regarding anything we've discussed or any other issues of safety and security on campus. With that, Georgina, did you want to throw it out for questions, or do you want to close out?
I would like to open up for questions, but I'd also like to take over the slide deck so I can put our contact info.
I will stop my share.
Thank you. I think the chat was fairly quiet. Does anyone have any questions for Jason or I? Jason, I've had this question in the past. Perhaps you can assist, or you can once again repeat what you said. The escort from, say, I'm leaving Mission Bay Health Center, how far will they go? How far will they walk you?
It depends. Sometimes they'll be walking. Sometimes, especially if it's one of our officers taking the call, they can drive you as well. So, like I said, we don't have any rule set in stone. But we will drive you like whatever you would think kind of the reasonable distance. You might park your car and then walk to and from campus, that kind of thing. So certainly a nearby transit stop. Certainly if you are parked within a close proximity to campus, they will do that. I guess if you wanted to go to any other location that's you would think is reasonably close, anything that you would think of as maybe a long walk. I don't want to say a short walking distance because we'll certainly do more than that. But any sort of within a reasonable sort of decent walking distance, we will definitely do. It's a little more difficult because our officers are sort of within any given shift. We have a certain amount of officers who are at Parnassus, who are at Mission Bay, who are at whatever area they're roving at, and so they sort of tend to want to stay by that location. So anything that's too we're not going to it's harder for them to take you from one campus to the other. That's really what if you need to go from Parnassus to Mission Bay, that's really what the shuttle is there for. But mostly within any given campus or any sort of satellite location, sort of a reasonable walking distance off that campus or that location would be reasonable.
Jason, I know I've seen these in our parking structures, but I've seen them around campus as well. The blue emergency, call buttons, where do those go?
Sure. It's good to, I recommend when I do, a little more in-depth safety presentations, always recommend to anyone who has, and most of us, and again, it's going to vary with, how your day goes at UCSF, but I'm guessing for most people, we have one or two office places or clinics or spaces where we're working at on a given day. And we have certain sort of routes and paths of travel to getting on and off campus. So it's good to recognize and know where those emergency panic buttons and blue phones are located. So whether it's one of those buttons that you'll see at a garage, normally it's a sort of a blue box with a red button, or it's one of those giant, sort of long blue phones that you see at Mission Bay. All of those go through to our emergency communications center. So whenever that's pushed, whether it's just simply the push button alarm, or you're using a blue phone with voice activation, you'll see those also at, for example, the newer garages have them. So like the Mission Bay Hospital garage has those similar blue phone communication pieces. It'll ring directly into the UCSF Communications Center. So obviously you can talk directly to a dispatcher if it's one of the voice ones. And then if it's one of the push button alarms, it'll immediately notify one of our dispatchers that an alarm has been pushed. They will immediately dispatch one of our officers to go to the location and determine what is going on. So basically, anytime any of those activations are done, we will immediately respond to the area.
Thank you, Jason. Does anyone else on the call have a question for Jason or myself? If you feel more comfortable or have a very specific situation, please feel free to email us and we'll respond to that as well. All right, well, if there are no other questions, I'm going to give you a few minutes back in your day. This is recorded and it will be posted on the transportation webpage shortly. Thank you for sharing your lunch with us. Please email us if you have any other questions or you think of something later down the line. We are here to assist you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Georgina.
Thank you, Jason.